Hey, let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed that the harder you try with a girl, the more you text, call, and plan things, the more she seems to pull away? It's like the more effort you put in, the less it works. You can feel it, right? The frustration of giving everything you've got, but somehow it only pushes her further. But here's the thing. You're not messing up because you're trying. You're messing up because you're trying too hard. I've been there myself, and I'll tell you this. The real game changer isn't chasing her harder, it's stepping back a bit. Sounds a little crazy, doesn't it? But trust me, pulling back and giving her some space can actually make all the difference. Sometimes, the less you push, the more she'll start to pull toward you. It might feel counterintuitive, but it could be the most powerful move you ever make. Let me break it down for you. I'm going to show you why stepping back works, how it flips the script, and why it will not only grab her attention, but also make you feel more confident and in control. Trust me, by the end of this, you'll see relationships in a whole new light. Let's get into it. Point 1. When you push too hard, she pulls away. Here's the truth. Relationships are a lot like a dance. There's a rhythm, a flow that needs to happen naturally. When you push too hard, the natural reaction is for her to pull away. It's not something personal. It's just how human nature works. Let me put it this way. Think about a time when you've been at a party and someone's aggressively trying to sell you something. They're all over you, talking non-stop, pushing their pitch. The more they push, the less interested you become. It's the same with relationships. If you're constantly texting her, calling her, or dropping everything just to be available, it feels like you're trying to force a connection. And naturally, that doesn't make her want to lean in closer. It makes her step back. Now, I get it. It's easy to fall into this trap because you want to show her you care. But what you might not realize is that when you overdo it, you actually create pressure. There's no space for her to miss you, no room for her to pursue the connection on her own terms. So, what's the answer? Step back. It might seem counterintuitive, but instead of pushing harder, focus on your own life. Hit the gym, spend time with friends, dive back into your passions and hobbies. When you start living for yourself again, something amazing happens. The balance is restored. You stop being the one chasing, and she starts to lean in, drawn to your confidence and independence, and that's when the connection truly deepens. Point 2. Why being too available can backfire. Think about why diamonds are so valuable for a second. It's not just because they're shiny, it's because they're rare. The same logic applies to those limited edition sneakers that sell out in minutes. The scarcity factor makes them desirable. People want what they can't easily get. The psychology behind this is simple. We naturally value things that are exclusive or hard to come by. Now, think about your own availability. When you're always the first to text, constantly dropping everything to be there at her beck and call, you start to feel like the equivalent of an all-you-can-eat buffet. And let's be honest, no one gets excited about a buffet after they've been there a few times. It just becomes predictable, maybe even a little overwhelming. The key to turning this around is to introduce a little scarcity into the mix. You don't have to be the one reaching out every time. Let her take the initiative sometimes. If she sends you a text, it's perfectly fine not to respond immediately. Now, this isn't about playing mind games or being aloof. It's about respecting your own time and energy. When you prioritize yourself, your time becomes something she values, not something she can take for granted. She'll start to see that your attention is precious. When you make her work a little harder for your time, she'll begin to realize that it's something worth earning, and that's when the real attraction begins. So instead of always being available, let her experience a bit of the chase. That's how you turn the tables and start making her want you more. Point 3. A little mystery keeps things exciting. Let's be honest, predictability can be a total buzzkill. Think about your favorite TV show. What keeps you coming back for more? It's the cliffhangers, right? That moment when the episode ends and you're left hanging, wondering what's going to happen next. That element of mystery, that little bit of suspense, is what keeps you on the edge of your seat. The same principle applies to relationships. If you're revealing everything about yourself all at once, sharing every little detail of your day, every thought that crosses your mind, it can take away the fun and excitement of discovery. Relationships thrive on curiosity, on the unknown. So instead of laying it all out there, hold back a little. Keep a few things to yourself, just enough to spark curiosity. Share something interesting, but don't give away every single detail up front. For example, if you had an amazing weekend, don't go into the whole story right away. Instead, say something like, "It was a wild time, I'll tell you about it later." Suddenly, you've planted a seed of curiosity. She'll be wondering what happened, and that curiosity will make her more engaged and more interested in learning more about you over time. Mystery adds a layer of excitement to any connection. It makes the experience of getting to know each other a journey, something to look forward to, rather than a checklist to be completed. Keep a little intrigue alive and watch how much more engaged she becomes. Point 4. Leave her wanting more. Here's something important to keep in mind. People tend to remember unfinished things more than the ones that feel complete. Think about the last time you watched a show that ended on a cliffhanger. You couldn't stop thinking about it, right? You were left wondering what happens next, and that's what keeps you coming back for more. Well, relationships work the same way. If the conversation is flowing and everything's going great, don't overstay your welcome. Don't drag it out until it becomes routine or boring. Instead, end the conversation on a high note. For example, if you're texting and everything's going well, don't feel like you need to keep it going forever. Just say something like, "Hey, I've got to run, but let's pick this up later." This leaves her with a sense of anticipation. She'll be thinking about you and looking forward to the next conversation. It's not about playing games, it's about being smart with your time and energy. By stopping while the energy is still good, you create a sense of excitement that will make her eager to talk to you again. When you leave her wanting more, she'll start looking forward to your interactions, and that's how you keep the connection alive and exciting without trying too hard. It's the art of leaving an impression that lingers, keeping her curious and engaged. Point 5. The fear of loss. Here's a simple truth. We often don't realize how much we value something until we feel like we might lose it. This applies to relationships too. When you give her a little space, you're silently communicating, without saying a word, that your presence isn't guaranteed. You're not always going to be there 24/7, and that's actually a good thing. It's not about playing games or being distant, it's about creating healthy boundaries that allow her to see your value. Imagine this scenario. You've had a few great dates, the chemistry is strong, and things are moving along nicely. But then, for a few days, life gets busy. Maybe it's work, hitting the gym, or catching up on something you're passionate about. You're not ignoring her, you're just living your life. And here's what happens. When you check back in after a little time apart, she's had the chance to miss you. She's had time to reflect on how great the connection feels and appreciate your presence more, because it's not just constantly available. This isn't about being distant or acting aloof. It's about giving her the space to realize that you're someone worth investing in, someone who has his own life, passions, and independence. When you're not always available, she starts to see that your time and attention are valuable. It creates a healthy sense of desire where she starts to appreciate you more for who you are, not just for your availability. Remember, it's not about scarcity for the sake of scarcity. It's about balance. By focusing on yourself, you're showing her that you're a confident, independent person with a full life. And that's exactly the kind of person anyone wants to have around. Creating a little space not only builds desire, but also strengthens the connection, because she'll know she's with someone who values his time, and by extension, values her. Point 6. Focus on your life. First, not just her. Here's the most crucial point of this entire discussion. Giving her distance isn't just about her, it's about you. If you want to build a strong, fulfilling relationship, you need to focus on building a strong, fulfilling life first. Your own growth, passions, and sense of purpose should come before everything else. It's easy to get caught up in trying to make a connection with someone, but the foundation of a great relationship starts with you living a life that excites and fulfills you. Focus on your goals, dive into your hobbies, and spend quality time with your friends. When you're passionate about your own world, you naturally become more attractive, and not because you're trying to be, it's because you're genuinely living. Think about it. Someone who's constantly working on themselves, pursuing their dreams, and enjoying life has an energy that's magnetic. This kind of person doesn't need to chase anyone. They just attract people through the sheer force of their passion and drive. And here's the key. When you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, relationships naturally fall into place. You don't have to force anything. You don't have to chase anyone. By living a fulfilling life, you create a space where the right people, like her, are drawn to you. So ask yourself, what lights you up? What's something you've been putting off? Maybe it's getting into the gym regularly, starting that passion project you've been dreaming about, or even joining a new community that excites you. Whatever it is, focus on it. The more you invest in yourself, the more you become someone worth chasing, and that's the secret. When you focus on your own growth and passions, you become someone who doesn't have to chase love. It simply finds you. Giving her space isn't about creating distance just for the sake of it. It's about building a connection based on respect, curiosity, and appreciation. When you give her room to miss you and respect your own journey, she'll naturally lean in. When you show up as the best version of yourself, you become someone she'll want to pursue. So, stop chasing, start living, and watch everything, including your relationships, fall into place. So here's my challenge to you. For the next week, prioritize you. Work on your goals, pursue your hobbies, and let her come to you. When she does, show up confident, self-assured, and ready to connect. Your superpower isn't in chasing, it's in being someone worth chasing. Own it. If you found this video helpful, go ahead and drop a like and hit subscribe for more tips on building better connections and becoming the best version of yourself. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's one thing you're going to focus on this week to level up? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.